everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. So today we're going to start working on my vintage Christmas junk journals. I will be doing two because one is already sold, so I wanted to have another one available for purchase. So I'm doing two of them. One will be mostly on camera, the other one will be a little on camera, some off, and then I'll just go through it as I go. And let's see. I think we got a couple people on. Let me see how the sound is. Somebody let me know. Find this live. Hey, Lori. So for those who don't know, we are currently live on Facebook. If you see the little red button at the top left, if not, you're catching a replay either here or on YouTube. All right, Don, let me know sound was good. Okay, so that's good. Make sure it's all the way up. All right. So let's go ahead and pull the camera up top and get started. Don't really have anything to put there. Let's see what I got. Straight. Yeah, that looks straight. Okay. So, like I said, we're doing a vintage Christmas junk journal. So, they're going to be similar in style. The one with the red is sold. Dawn already purchased that one, so that's this one. So it will have this cover and then this pocket, and then I'm going to do this one here, which will have this cover and green on the inside and this pocket. So just a little bit different. I decided to go with green for a couple reasons. One, I can tell the difference, and two, I didn't quite have enough of this fabric. So we are using Amazon packaging bags for the covers. So this is, I think, the green one. Where does it say green? It says green somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this one goes to this. And I'm probably not going to sew them both today. I'll just sew the red one. Get it to stop fraying. Alright, so I have 3 pieces. I have my pocket piece, my inside cover piece, and then my outside cover piece. And I just moved this fabric around until I got a portion that I thought looked okay for the cover section, which is 6 inches of this space, and then there's a 2-inch spine and then 6 inches on the back. So that's what I came up with. The pocket will be lined with just this red cardstock. I need one of those. And the packages, in case you don't know, are these type. I just split them apart so that I can use them, and I use a palette knife, and I just get in there and split it apart so I have just 2 separate pieces. It just works out easier, especially if you're doing a pocket. But I just take the palette knife and just work it in there. That's the best way to split it apart and not lose any of this section. It just comes apart cleanly. And just do that. And I have lots of videos making these covers. I pretty much do them the same way every time. Like fuzz everywhere. And then the next step I do is I mark everything. So the packaging is, I believe, 9 by 14, but let me just double check it. So 9. Yep, 9 by 14. And then the material is just a little bit larger than that, so that it will go just on the outside of the bag. It's myself, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or so, and then try to fit it, you know, as best I can, because it's never square. I don't know why. I gave up trying to figure out why it's never square, because I try to cut it square, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So the first thing we need to do is get everything ready for the pocket. So I just have this paper clipped because I didn't want to lose it. Hopefully everybody's having a nice evening. I was over there falling asleep before I went live. I had to set an alarm because I was tired. I was worried I was going to sleep through my live. So I took a little cat nap. Alright, so I don't know if you can see it. I have chalk pencil written on here. I really got to find another one of these. With chalk pencil. And so this is how it works. I put the packaging labels on the inside because once you cut it open, then you can do that easily. So you don't have to worry about painting it or anything if your material's thin. This material is not thin. This is a canvas duck material, so it's a little thicker. So it's not going to show through or anything, but if it is thin, it does help with that. And then I mark everything for how it's going to be set up, okay? So this is my front cover top, okay? So that's the outside front cover. And then inside cover left, inside cover bottom right. And I say bottom because when it's folded, it's on the bottom. And then on the inside, I've got the inside pocket top, inside pocket bottom, because those two will be like this, and this will be a pocket. I've got a mark for the ribbon, which is the closure that I'm using. And then I have the spine, which is 2 inches. So I've got 6 inches, 2 inches, 6 inches to get the 14. And then same thing, I try to mark it on all the sides, although it will be covered up. It really helps with just lining everything up. And then, of course, the back says back cover. And then this side says inside left can be glued. And I write can be glued on there because I don't turn that into a pocket. And so I usually just go ahead and glue it together just to make it easier to work with. You don't have to glue it because you're going to be sewing all the way around and on that side anyway, and it won't really matter. But I do glue it lightly. So that's what we have. So the first thing you want to do is get your pocket side ready. So I'm just going to set this up here. And I'm going to grab my cardstock that I'm going to use to cover the pocket up. You don't have to cover it up, but I always do. I just think it looks a little neater. Get my cutter. And you just want to cut it to where it just fits just inside. I try not to go all the way to the edge because then you've just got another layer to sew through, and it's already got so many. I don't want to stress out my sewing machine anymore, and I have to. And then this side gets sewed before it's put together, so you're not going through as many layers. So I usually cut it to about here, which is probably about 5-ish. Let's see, what is it? It's right at 5.5. So I'm gonna cut it at 5.5, and then this is just the normal 8.5, because this is an 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So I just need to cut that at 5.5, and you need it for both sides. So basically you're just cutting this in half. Okay, so you have your two pieces. And those are going to go here and here. No, not there. Here and, where's my inside pocket? Label. Inside pocket. Cover with paper. Okay, so that's going to go like that. All right. Which is why I write everything down, because if I don't, when I've got them apart and I'm dealing with them, I will get totally confused as to where everything goes. So write on there with pencil, chalk pencil, whatever you need to do to keep yourself straight. It makes a big difference. And then for ribbon on this one, I'm going to use this Merry Christmas ribbon. It's a similar material. What is this stuff called? Twill? Maybe? But it's a similar texture to this canvas duck, and the colors are decent. It's got that, you know, vintage creamy color, and then the red. So I thought this would work good. And you have the choice of going all the way through, which is typically what I do, or you can just start like here, but then you're only really saving 2 inches, maybe 3 tops. So, and I don't think I'd go any further out than that, because I just don't want to risk it pulling loose. So I usually just go through the whole thing and, you know, make sure I have enough ribbon for that. So the ribbon you need is approximately 10 or 11 inches beyond your cover. So I think I usually use like 36 inches. So let me see if that's about right. So if I do 36 inches, let me find the center. Now this is not a double-sided ribbon, which it's not ideal for a tie, but it'll be all right. My only other choice, I had a plain red, but only had pieces of it. So do that. That gives me this much room, which looks to be about 12 inches. What is that? No, it's only 10.5. So yeah, I think I do 36, and that usually works out fine for tying. Is Dawn on? Are you okay with this ribbon, Dawn, for yours? Since you did already purchase yours, my choice is using just plain red. I have 2 pieces of it, so I would just bring it to here and glue it and do it that way, because one piece isn't long enough. But it's the same kind of it's a cotton twill sides. Do you care if it's not the same on both sides? So you let me know before I glue that in there, because if not, I'll use the red on yours. Either way is fine with me. I don't care. Do you like the Merry Christmas or the red? Okay, so we will use this. So let me get 36 inches of that. Hey, Angela. All right, so you have to decide whether you want the ribbon on the, since it's not double-sided, I think I'm going to glue it this way, because then, what will happen is it will be the right direction. So I want to make sure the print's the right direction too. So I'm going to glue it down, let's see, this way. I don't think I've ever done one with writing on it before. Yeah, so that way, so that when the journal is open, it's laying like that. Okay, so glue it that way. Let me find the center again. So the direction is the writing up, but upside down. Or backwards, I guess. I don't know. I know what it is. All right, so there's my center. Let's see if I can just mark this with something. A chalk pencil here. A red chalk pencil, that'll work. So that way. And I've already got the center marked, and I've got the line for the ribbon marked, so I know where that is. It's like 4.5 inches in. And I'm going to cover that, or glue that on with just some Fabri-Tac. I should have refilled that. It looks full. It's really slow. You can tell when it's getting thick because the bubble moves crazy slow. All right, so like this. And it's, you don't have to glue it crazy in here because, like I said, it is going all the way through and it's going to be sewed on the side. So just a little bit of glue is fine. Just try to make sure that it is centered so they line up on both sides. Put a little more in the middle there. I like to make sure my signature area, or not signature, my sewing it in area is flat as I can get it, because otherwise I end up having issues. Let's make sure this centers up. They're coming out at the same spot. Looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our ribbon. Hey, Dorothy. And then we're going to put our paper down. And you could use either glue on the paper. It could be Fabri-Tac or art glitter. I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac because it gives me a little more time to position it. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. I'm going to draw myself a little arrow here, although I should know where it goes. Just in case I forget, because I'm going to cover that one up. Come on, glue. Get that bubble up there. Try not to get glue on the bag itself. Now, you do want to make sure that the glue is up to the edge on the outside, because you just want it even there. The rest of it doesn't really matter as much, whether it goes to the edge or not, but I do try to make it to the edge on the one side, if I can. So I'm going to put it as close to that edge as I can, because it's going to be a pocket. Just secure that down. And then we want to find the other side, which is this side. So on here, glue off my finger. So I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do as far as if I'm going to do a vignette or something. I really want to do one, but now that I'm doing two, I don't know. I'll probably still do it. I just got to figure it out. Whether I would just want to do some sort of a small scene in a box. I'm going to use either a vignette box or like a faux book and do like a book nook. When I say faux book, I mean those books that you get from Dollar Tree, like I used on the Halloween one that year. They're just little boxes that looks like books. Use one of those. So same thing up to the edge on this side. Helps if you don't stick it before you're ready. Usually I got enough time to move this stuff. It's totally not centered. Doesn't really matter because it's all going to be sewn. It's close enough. All right. Glue off my fingers. So much glue on me. All right, so that'll be our pocket, and that will go basically like this, and then it will open up, and it'll be a red pocket there. Okay, so now what we need to do is glue our fabric down. I might sew, can't remember if I sewed this first last time. Did I? I don't think I did. I probably just put a little bit of glue to hold it in place. Now sometimes I go all the way through, sometimes I don't. I am going to go all the way through on this one. Honestly, I had enough, so. All right, let's see. So, inside cover bottom, we need front cover top and back cover is what should be showing. And I've got my arrows that tell me the direction and my fabric. So this is going to get glued. So when I put this Fabri-Tac down, I don't want to go all the way to the edge because I am going to be sewing there and I don't want it gooping up my machine. So I'm going to do half at a time because it works out easier. So I don't really need this other piece, so let me pull that out. And it's best if you put the glue on the paper side and not the fabric side. It spreads better. So, and then I will go to the center because I want to make sure that this is glued down because it does help at the end when I'm sewing the signatures in. If there's not like separated layers. Separated layers are very difficult to get signatures in because the needle is trying to go through all the different levels, if that makes sense. So I find it's better if I, I'm debating which side to start with. I think I'll start with the center. I don't know. Maybe I'll start with the edge. I'll start with the edge. So I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. So about, I don't know, it could be a ½ inch. Usually that's plenty of room. I really wouldn't go that far. I'm going to go about 2 inches first. So so I can hopefully line everything up. Now, if I can get this glue to come out. I don't know if I have another fabric tack or not. I might. Can't remember if I bought more. Where is my spreader? So I'm just going to use this to spread this out a little bit. Like I said, this is getting sewed, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to try to line this up and have it in the right position. Remember, it's got about 1/4 inch on all sides, so, and then I'll turn it over to see if it looks right. So just make sure everything looks like it's lined up correctly, about 1/4 inch, and that it's straight. A little bit further out from that pocket than I want to be, so I'm going to move it in a little bit more than that. It's a nice thing about using the Fabri-Tac is I have more time. So I need to be in just a little bit further. We'll go about here. I want it to be fairly close on the pocket side. It works a little bit better. It's a little crooked on this side. Straight on this side. Crooked on this side. Isn't that funny? I tore it on the grain. But like I said, it's just not always on the grain. It's not always straight. Alright, so we got that lightly glued. Make sure I'm still the right direction. Am I? I'm top. Okay. Scared myself there for a minute. Nope, I'm right. Okay. Cool. Sorry about all the moving around. Alright, so now we're going to finish gluing. Just pull this up. Let me see if I have more Fabri-Tac. I'm having a hard time squeezing it. Do I or don't I? So many bottles, guys. I do have more. All right. I'm gonna fill this up because it just makes my life easier. Yeah, this is a new one too, so it'll flow better, hopefully. If I can get the lid off. Oh, it just popped right off of there. It does not miss. The fuller it is, the easier it is to squeeze. And for anyone new, these are Sugar Bell icing bottles. They work very well for filling with your glues. Instead of trying to use this is very hard, the bottle itself, and it's really difficult to squeeze. Like really difficult. So that should help. Now I don't have to hopefully fight as hard. Try to make sure it stays straight as you're gluing it. You turn it over each time and just double check. That's probably a good idea. Now this Fabri-Tac is acetone based, so it is highly, it's very fumy, and you probably should really ventilate your room. I am not. Because honestly, I don't have a fan that blows out in here. I do. Oh, I don't have the fan on. Usually I turn the fan on, but I didn't today, and I can tell the difference, honestly. It's strong. Let's just make sure that's straight. Check this side. Yep, looks good. All right. Had another one of those floating over here somewhere. One that's not dirty. Just make sure everything feels like it's down good. Okay. And then, so we've got fabric on that side. Which way are we? Oh, this way. And then this side, got inside cover bottom, inside cover left, which is this red. I don't really need this for that. Set that there. So same thing, we're going to glue this down. I'll just start with this side. Now this one, do I have arrows over there? I'm going to put a little arrow right here just because I don't want to get turned around. So I'm about to cover it up. So stay away from my edge. And I spread this out because it doesn't show through fabric as much if you spread it out. For anyone new, that's why I'm spreading it out. Let's see if we can line this up. So I'm going to assume it's about the same. I'll flip it over and double check it before I glue it completely. Okay, so that's a little crooked. Let's just do it from this side, if we can. It's not square. Why would it be square? Make my life easier. Never fails. All right, I think about that. Okay. And then I'll have to decide how. I think I'm just going to tack this and then I'll sew it before I put it together for the pocket, I think. I have to remind myself each time how I do that because honestly I just don't remember. The pocket is the one thing I tend to do a little bit different each time, depending on the type of pocket I'm using. I got all these little pieces. Those out of there. Check we're staying straight. Okay. Gluing it does help a lot with when you're getting ready to sew it. So even though it's not absolutely necessary to glue it, it does help keep it straight when you are sewing it. This glue is so much better since I added a little bit of fresh in there. Fabri-Tac tends to dry out, I don't know, maybe in like after about a month or two of being open. And you can add acetone to it to thin it out a little bit, but it's never quite as good as just being brand new. I'm probably gonna have to trim this because the fabric itself, it's straight on this grain, but this one is not, so I'll probably just trim it and refray it. All right, so there's that. And then, so this is the bottom. So our pocket's gonna go here. I'm just going to double check that I'm doing it right. So this goes like this. There's my pocket for that side. This side gets glued together. Directionally, we are the right way. Everything looks good. All right, so glue this pocket down. So what I want to do is I want to glue this section down for the center spine, and it's obviously not marked because I just covered it, but I can figure it out. So like I said, it's 6 inches, 2 inches, 6 inches. It's pretty easy measurements. Actually, it's a little more than that because now we are dealing with the fabric, which is bigger than the cardboard. So in this case, we are at 15 inches from frayed edge to frayed edge. So our center is not quite the same. So what would that be? 7.5 would be the center. I might just fold it and see, but we'll mark it at 7.5 and see if it looks right. So 7.5 is about there. This is a chalk pencil. I can just wipe it off. Let's see if that feels like the center. So you can just fold it. Find your center. Like I said, I might trim this. So I'm going to go by the paper, not the fabric, for finding my center. So just line your paper up on each edge, and then you can just give it a little bit of a press. Make sure it stayed there. Still there. Is it this side? I think it's this side. It's about there. It's close. It's pretty close. All right. So what I want to do is have the glue be 1 inch each side of that center mark. I'm just going to use my white chalk pencil and mark that. So approximately, where's my ruler? So about here and about here. So I just want to make sure that that section is glued when I glue it down. And that's just so it sews better at the end. So do that. Didn't mark the center, but I can tell it's right there. All right, so about here. Looks good. And then we'll start from there. Just glue this center part down. I didn't used to do this, but it makes such a difference when I'm sewing those signatures in that I started doing it every time, because the first few times I didn't do it, man, getting through those three or four layers was a pain. All right, so then I will be sewing this around. Now, I could just wait and do it all at once, I guess. I'm debating if I want to sew it separately or not. So once it's put together, it will be like this. And I will be sewing here. No, not here, because this side, yeah, see, so I have to sew it separate. Here's the reason. This piece and this piece get sewed first because you have a pocket here. So when you have it together, you can't sew all the way around or you'll close your pocket. Okay, so we sew this piece and this piece first. So because of that, to sew here, I have to do that when I do this side. Okay, so when I sew this pocket on, that will close that end, and then the rest of it will be closed when I go around. So I think I'll just have it work out that way, that this gets sewed when I'm doing these separate, and the other side will just sew when it comes time. So you'll understand, but I'm going to tack it just a tiny bit somewhere where hopefully with the glue won't matter, so I don't want to get too much glue. Debating if I want to use art glitter. Art glitter goes through my sewing machine better than Fabri-Tac. I think I'll use some art glitter. I'm just tacking it because I don't want it to move. It might not move. So I'm just going to give it a little tiny bead of glue there. Just to kind of tack that side. Just make sure it's completely out flush. Alright, so one bead of glue there. This side's probably not as big a deal because I've got that sewed already, or glued already. And I'll do one bead of glue here. Out here. And this is not enough glue to hold it completely. Definitely have to sew it too. Now you could do this without sewing it at all and just totally glue everything down. It will work. If you don't have a sewing machine and you want to do this, you can do it without one. Alright, so there's that. So like I said, we got to glue, sew these two pieces first. So we'll do that. Fabri-Tac's not holding great there. Just put a little tiny bit more. Alright, so let's get our sewing machine ready and sew those. Get my pens back in here. Okay. So bear with me while I'm sewing. It's not the best setup for sewing, but we manage. You can't see a whole lot of the sewing, but you know, I'm just doing a simple straight stitch, nothing fancy. I just have to move this wood piece here. This is what holds in everything while I'm put my camera up there. Clean off all the dust. Okay, so I've got the sewing machine sitting here. Just gotta figure out how to pull it over here without knocking everything down. It's always tricky. Between my mic, my phone, my camera. Too many things. Okay, it goes like that. It's gonna go like that. Like I said, you won't be able to see a lot. Turn her on. And I'll explain as I'm going. Okay. So, we're basically sewing the pocket edges. So the two sides with the cardstock glued in there, those two are going to get sewed. Can't see chat, but I'll be all right. All right, so I've just got this loaded with some black thread. I debated on the color, and I decided to go with the black because there is a little bit of black in there. And I thought about red, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have the perfect shade of red, I guess. I could have gone and bought some, but I didn't. So I'm just going to sew from here to here. Make sure your ribbon doesn't get under or anything like that. And then I usually go back and forth once at the ribbon just to give it a little more security. It's probably not necessary, honestly, but I do it. And start sewing. Hopefully my sewing machine will cooperate. It doesn't always. Hopefully it will. Okay, there's one side. Okay, so we just sewed this side. And I'm doing it on that side because I can see it easier, so I'm just not going to stress about that being the opposite side, because I could go from this side, but the problem is sometimes I just can't see where to sew, so we're just not going to bother with it that time. When I do the whole cover, I will do the right side. You'll see what I mean. So now we want to find our pocket side again, do the same thing. I'm just doing a little back stitch at the beginning. It might not even be necessary. Two. All right. So now we have this side sewn and we have this side sewn. So let's figure out which way this goes. Inside, inside. Goes like this, goes like this. So this will be our pocket side. Okay. So now we just have to clip everything together. All right, I'm just going to try to slide this out of the way while I'm clipping. Where are my clips? Good question. I just moved them. Oh, there they are. Okay, our clips. So, most important part, don't sew your pocket closed. And the best way I've found not to do that is just to put a whole bunch of clips on that side that remind me that I am not sewing there. You can put a little sticky note, whatever works. I'm just going to kind of get this out of the way a little bit. You know, make sure this is straight. Hopefully it is. We'll double check it. Okay, so it's look fairly straight. So I might have to trim this side. That's fine. I'll do it later. So that looks good. Let me just trim off this thread. So, and like I said, go by the paper to see if it's straight, because that is best. So I do need to pull it this way a little. All right. I knew it. It's never straight. All right. Let me just try that again. So I'm just going to line this up real quick and put a little clip there. And then I'll line this up real quick. Make sure it's flat. Put a little clip there. Then do this side. Okay, so make sure it's flat as it can get, because you know how sewing works. If it's not, it will start bunching And I try as best I can not to eliminate that, but sometimes it still happens. A little further that way, let me see. Yeah, it'll be all right. Okay. Could go to the left just a fraction. Is it this, the cardstock? Let me make sure my cardstock's even. I call it cardstock, it's packaging. I always call it the wrong thing. Yeah, it's even, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. I can trim the rest later. All right, so clip off your edge that you definitely do not want to sew. It's easy to tell which edge it is if you look at the inside because the cardstock's there. Got all these clips over here. All right. And then just clip lightly anywhere else. You know, typical hold it in place stuff. I just put a few less. All right, so what you're going to do is, check your orientation, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, and then once you're sure everything is where it's supposed to be, you're going to start sewing either here or here. It depends on how you like to sew. I start here and go around and then stop here. Okay, so I don't close up that pocket. Because I've done it. I have closed up my pocket. Things you learn when you're first starting. Just make sure that looks lined up still. Yeah, that's good. All right, so here's where I run into the issue of making sure I'm catching that cardboard. The packaging. We're just going to call it cardboard because I'm going to call it cardboard. So what I do is, you can feel it, like, because it's hard. But what I do is I just take a chalk pencil, whatever color works for you. I do have this red one here. Probably just use it. And I'm just going to mark just a little here and there where that cardstock is so that I can stay inside when I'm sewing. Otherwise, I won't catch it when I'm sewing, because I'll miss it. So just give yourself a little mark if you need it. Honestly, it's really close to this fray on this edge, so it's not as big of a deal. I just know to stay like an 1/8 of an inch at least away from that fray, and I'll be fine. But I'm gonna mark it anyway. This washes off easy. You can use just a wet cloth, or you can use an eraser. So I'm just feeling my cardstock there. Cardboard, cardstock, whatever you want to call it. So this side gets sewn. So here's where, see how far it is here? So I don't want to sew way out here because I won't catch that card. And I want to make sure I catch the card so it's not floating in there. So it is right there. And that's just because it's really hard to feel it as you're going. I find it easier just to mark it. This red is, I'm going to switch to white because I won't be able to see it. I know it seems like an extra step and all that, but it has helped me a lot. And if you don't have one of these pencils, you can just use your typical tailor chalk. like this and mark it with that. That's works the same way. So whichever one you have. As long as you have some sort of mark. So here it's in that far. And I don't have to go all the way. You know, you don't have to have a solid line, just enough to keep you in line when you're sewing. All right, I think we got it, and then we'll stop here. Okay, so start sewing, and same thing here. When I do this side with the ribbon, I will go back and forth there once, as I did, well, I think I did it there. If I didn't, it's not a big deal. I might not have. Like I said, I think it's kind of overkill, but I tend to do things more than necessary sometimes. All right, so back to sewing. So remember, start on the side of your pocket. Don't sew your pocket. So I'm gonna have to remove these two because they're gonna be in my way. And on this one, I want to go. Oh, did I mark the wrong side? I did. Darn it. I usually sew on this side. Doesn't matter. I'm getting a really good stitch right now. It probably doesn't matter. Sometimes my back stitch is awful. Probably should. Darn it. Sorry, guys. I marked the wrong side because I want to sew the good side, the top side, on this side. So let me just do it again. I'm just going to look at the distance. It looks like to be about ½ an inch. So I will have to use red for sure. All right, I'm just going to feel it and do it. Sorry, bear with me. I marked to the wrong side. I did that last time too. It's so easy to forget which side is which when you're sewing these things. Just feeling. This one's right on the fray. Pretty much all the way down. Just slightly inside right there. So a little further in right here. And a little further in right there. All right, try that again. Okay, so go back to the side you want to start on. So since I turned it around, now I'm going to start on this side because for my direction of sewing, that's what works. All right, back to sewing. So start here. And remember to do a couple of maybe back stitches on this one corner because this is the corner the pocket's on, so you want to make sure it's strong. Let's say maybe 2. And just stay like 1/8 of an inch from where you made your mark. Hopefully it'll go through. Sometimes it does not like all these layers. Trying to keep it from gathering. Just remember, if it starts gathering, just kind of, you can use a flat tool like this to kind of, get the fabric to go lay right. Because we've got like all these pieces of fabric glued on here, and they tend to want to bunch. When you get to your corner, just leave your needle down and then lift your foot and spin it and drop your foot. That keeps it in place. Okay. Continue around. Make sure your ribbon is not underneath or anything. Like I said, I usually go back and forth just maybe once on the ribbon. Just to make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, same thing here. Make sure your needle is down. Lift your foot, spin, drop your foot. I know you can't see what I'm doing exactly, but and just feeling, make sure I know where I'm going. And you can do this with the zigzag if you want. I don't usually, because my zigzag does not like me. And I don't want to have to fight with it. So I'm just going to try to make sure this is flush. Back stitch. And that is it. So now we have our cover. You can pull off your clips and trim the threads as much as you like to. Some people like them. I don't particularly like a lot of them. And then you can choose if you want to go around again or not. I've never found it necessary to go around again. Or if you want to do a zigzag or anything like that. And like I said, I can't really do a zigzag. It just doesn't work enough. But then you just kind of look at it, make sure everything looks right. Got your cover, your ribbon should be on this side and then the bottom of this side. Okay, not here. It shouldn't be here or it won't work. And then your pockets here. Okay, and that will tie like so. Hopefully it likes this ribbon okay. Part of it will be upside down, but I don't know any way to get around it. I guess you can kind of play with it. Like that. Okay. So that is it. And then this is like this. This will be sewed in when we do the signature sewing in, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just got the glue there to stop it. And you can just wipe off all of these marks. Like I said, you can either use an eraser on it, which sometimes leaves little, pieces of eraser stuff, or you can just use a damp cloth. Usually I just use a damp cloth and deal with it being a little bit wet for a few minutes. It's just chalk. So erase all your little marks. And let's see. There. I haven't dealt with the red before. I'm hoping it comes off easily. Hopefully. If not, it'll probably just blend into the cover, but we'll see. It's not terrible. I might try the eraser on it and see if that's any better. Where's my good eraser? Top eraser. Let's see if this works better. Yeah, I think I like the eraser better on the red. Pulls it off just a little bit better than the wet. All right, thread. The red cloth. And then I can just get any residue with the cloth. But I'm just taking all these little red marks I made off. I'm doing it now because I will sure enough forget if I don't. Forget to do it later. This is just a Papermate Tough Stuff eraser stick. I use this for getting glue off and stuff a lot of times. It works pretty good. But it also works well for this. Just because it's a little stronger. Like a little firmer than my other eraser. Come on, Frey. You're trying to get under there. Let's do it. Alright, so erase all that. I'm not going to sew the other one on camera because, you know, you just watch me. It's the same thing. Except with green fabric. So I do sometimes glue the edges. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So sometimes when you've done all that, you still can see the cardboard, the packaging, like that. Okay, and I don't usually like to see that. So what I do is I just go around, and I either do this now or I do it before I close it up. But you can use art glitter or whatever one you want. Fabri-Tac art glitter, both will work. But if the packaging isn't glued to, I'll hit that then. So like this little bit of packaging here that's not glued together, I'll go ahead and hit that. And then I'll come back and do the fabric. And I just do that because I think it just lays better when it's on a shelf or whatever, if this is all glued and, you know, solid. Otherwise you end up with a bunch of, you know, it just bunches up too much. I don't know if I want to use Fabri-Tac or not. I'm debating. I don't think this will show through. I'm going to just do a piece and see. Yeah, no, this material's plenty thick enough. It's not showing through. If your material's real thin, you might want to use the Fabri-Tac and spread method. But this material's plenty thick enough to handle it. So I do this because, you know, like I said, I think it lays better. And I don't usually get exactly right on the edge there when I'm doing it. The only side you cannot do this on is your pocket side, okay? So you can glue it to the fabric on the outside, like just that top little piece there. That I can glue. But you cannot glue anything else. So just be careful what you're gluing on the pocket side if you do this. Because you don't want to accidentally close something. Do this side. Yep. So here. This packaging is actually closed down. It must have been the side I did on the other side or something. So let's see. You don't really have to watch me do this, but I don't think I usually show this part. because it's just something I kind of do as a finishing step. So I don't know that I've actually showed me doing it before, but it is something I do. So and just double check the inside. Same thing. Now you can go around, like I said, one more time if you want to go around it a little more. Some people do it just for looks because they like that messy look of sewing. If you are going to go around it again, I would suggest doing that before you glue it, so you don't have glue to deal with. I'm not going to, so. The art glitter is showing a little more on this red fabric. Try to make sure it's spread it out enough. Sometimes it shows through just a little. Alright, so there's that. I think I got it enough. Probably didn't do, did I do it? Yeah, I did that side. Okay, that's probably good enough for now. If I miss any spots, I'll catch it when I'm sewing the signatures in. That's usually when I notice it and remember. And then what I would like to do is just decide if it needs trimmed anywhere. This side that the pocket's on is good because I always try to line that one up the closest because it's hard to trim this side. But this side, if I need to like trim this red so it lines up a little bit better, I can do that at this point. And just decide where I want it to hit. Should be, so make sure that it looks straight. Yeah, see, I think that red there is sticking out just a little bit too much on that side. Yeah, so I'm going to trim this off just a little bit. Just because it's kind of, it's not lined up there for whatever reason. So you can do that a couple ways. You can use scissors or you can use your rotary blade. Just don't cut your ribbon if you're doing it. So I'm just going to come up to about where the fray is there. The top is fine. The bottom is a little bit off. So I'm going to use this. Just trim it. Okay. And then you can, fray it up a little bit more if it needs it. It usually does need a little bit. Let me put some cardboard down because it'll mark up my self-healing mats. When you poke it like this with scissors or something really sharp, those marks don't really go away. They stay. So try to put some cardboard down. But just give it a little fray so it matches up with that. It's obviously not on the grain, so it's not going to go all the way to the top probably. And then just decide where you want it to stop. Okay, so it just matches up a little bit better, and then I could do it right here too. Just a little bit, and then just refray that too. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like it to be relatively even. I'm not saying go for perfectionism, but I don't like it to be real obviously crooked. I don't know why. And that's probably just me. I'm sure I'm being a little OCD or something. That's how I do it. So just double check and see if it needs frayed. It usually does. So just fray this out so it matches the front. here where it stopped. And then just cut those off. Okay, and it just blends in better, you know, doesn't look like you've got 16 layers there. And just, you know, double check anywhere that you feel like that needs done. And that's all I do. So, just a tiny bit right there. I'm not going to go all the way because this one's slightly crooked, so we're just going to let that be. All right. Might glue this ribbon on the ends because this is that twill, and it will just unravel the whole thing. It'll just keep unraveling. So I'm going to just throw a little bit of glue. I might actually do it. I might use my pinking shears. Just pink it real quick. I think that'll work. See if that keeps it from fraying enough. Yeah, I think that'll do it, and I don't have to glue it. So we'll just pink it. If it seems like it's still going to fray later, I'll just throw a little drop of glue right there on the ends. Keep it from unraveling on us. Okay, that is it, guys. So let me pull this sewing machine off to the edge here. I'm going to try to pull it off the edge without knocking everything over. Alright, I think I got it. Alright, so that's our cover. Cool. Haven't decided if I'm going to do anything else to it. I don't know. I can't decide, honestly, guys. I'm a little torn on it. So I have some like poinsettias somewhere around this house. I gotta find them because they're probably in my Christmas decorations and put away. Because I haven't dug all that stuff out yet. But I can kind of show you what I mean with this. I have like some fabric poinsettias. I gotta find them. But what I was thinking, if they look okay and they're the right size, I don't really know. I know Hobby Lobby sells them, so I could possibly check there and see, you know, or maybe, Dawn, you want it to be just plain. I don't know. I usually leave it up to y'all. Sorry, that stupid tape was getting me. So I'm trying to see if I have something in here I can kind of show you what I mean. So I was thinking I could do like a poinsettia on the edge, a fabric one, not these. But this was just to show you. Yeah, or a holly even. I have some holly leaves too floating around somewhere. So maybe just on the corners. I don't want to cover up too much of the words because I think the words are what makes it. But this S is kind of out of place right there anyway. So, you know, one there, maybe one here. I don't know what else I could do to it. I think it's just going to be best like it is. If you have any ideas that you think would look good, I can, you know, try them out, see how they look. But that's what I was thinking, is to find like a fabric holly or poinsettia or something and maybe put it on these two edges just to give it a little something more dimensional. So that's my plan. I can't do it yet because I just don't have it. And we'll go from there. All right. Tim's paper dolls back together. What a mess. But anyway, that's our cover. I think it'll be cute. Very vintage looking. So thanks for watching. I will be back on Wednesday, and we will work some more. I will sew the other one off camera and then just show it to you. But it's going to be the same, other than it's going to be green instead of red. And we'll go from there. And hopefully making two will work out. Like I said, this one is sold. Dawn bought this one. But the other one will be as close as I can get it, you know, depending on, of course, ephemera and things that I have and supplies. But it'll be very similar. So if anyone wants to buy the second one, they are $165 plus shipping. So you'll have to let me know. I'm going to do the same size. They're both going to be 3 signatures, approximately 100 to 120 pages is usually what it works out to be. And then, you know, however that works. All right, guys. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. All right, bye-bye.